Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guide. This is another episode of the SFML Dodger game series, and in this video we are going to start to kind of try to implement our enemies. So this is going to be the part 1 of the enemies, in which we are going to create a single enemy and make it fall down, and then in the next video and then we're going to add more enemies, and in the next video we'll make the enemy actually damage the player. So let's get started with that really quick. So first thing that you need to do for that is, obviously, we want to create one enemy. Now for the enemy, I'm just going to copy the code for the player and gonna go here and paste this, and I'm going to change this to basically be enemy, or basically obstacle, or you can call it whatever you want, and just copy this, and I'm going to paste it in the other places as well, so like that. And yes, so after we have got that done, that means we have got an enemy, and we can actually draw and do different kind of stuff with it. So I'm going to first of all change the color of the enemy, and then change the position as well. For as far as the position is concerned, I'm going to not run the program just yet, but if I do run it, you can see that nothing should actually change in our actual program, and it happens to, okay, it's okay, continue, and if that actually works. Okay, you can see nothing changes because we are not actually drawing the enemy. We are gonna do that obviously, but first of all let me change this position of the enemy to from 600 minus 110, which puts it at the bottom of the screen, to the to something like actually minus 50, minus not 50 actually, minus 60, which is going to put it outside of the screen essentially. So we are going to draw the enemy, window dot draw, and we are going to say enemy. Now that would actually start to draw the enemy like in a correct manner, and we want to change the enemy's color, and this I'm going to make it kind of like reddish somewhat. So 250 on this, 180 on here, and 180 here. That's awesome. So let's try to start the enemy.setFit okay, so let's see. Our enemy should not actually be visible. It is not. The reason it's not is because it's out of the screen. It is being drawn, and if you want to test that, you can change this negative 60 to just 0, and you can try that out, and it would be now visible in the screen. Yeah, you can see that what it looks like. Now it's a bit too less saturated. I'm going to make this something like 120, and make this something like 80, and that would be better. So let's see, once we are satisfied with the color, we can actually start making the enemy move down, and yeah, that's a bit better. So I'm gonna change this back to 80 again, this back to 80 as well. Alright, so we are going to change this to 60 now, so that our enemy is outside of the screen, and in here, after we are done with the player, we are going to move the enemy. So by the way, this might be useful to add some comments here. So player movement, this portion of code is basically handling our player movement. Because our program is really small, we don't need to add like several functions, and we can just kind of do it in one function. But I'm planning on making another series after this one on a more complex game, in which we'll do classes and object-oriented programming and functions and all of that good stuff. So for now, here we are going to do enemy movement, let's say. So for the enemy movement, we just want the enemy to move down regardless of whether we are pressing any key or not. So just go ahead and say enemy dot move, and when you say dot move, let's actually copy this line here from here, let's say that, and that would save a little bit of work. And we want to move it not vertically like this, but instead in like not horizontally, but instead vertically. And remember, we on top of that we have got 0, and if we move above, then we got negative, and we want to move below, so we are going to put positive here, 0.1. Now let's start, and what you should see is that we should have our enemy kind of moving down, but it's actually not moving down. Why is that not happening? And this is a bit weird, because our enemy should actually be moving down. Maybe it's moving down too slow, so let's try increasing this to something like 3, which is around 30 times faster, and let's see. Okay, wait for a little while to see if anything changes. No, it does not. So yeah, our enemy is supposed to be here, and it's supposed to be drawn as well, but it is actually not moving down for some reason, which it should. So our enemy, we are providing it with the correct function. Okay, so but the reason is this is happening is because we are obviously doing it on the x-axis, which is not which is causing a bunch of problems. So yeah, change us to that to the y-axis, and that would be good enough, and we should have our enemy now moving down. And obviously that's a bit too fast, so let's change this down to 0.05 and see if that is slow enough. So we may want to add a difficulty curve, making it a little bit faster as we go along. And yeah, you can see that works, and our player can try to avoid the enemy. Now obviously nothing happens when the enemy does anything, and we have basically got a basic enemy system working, but now we need to add more enemies and add random enemy generation and all of that stuff, which is going to be a little bit problematic. But that is what we are going to do in the next video, in which we'll create a separate enemy class and try to kind of do all of that stuff. So make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next one, and bye.